Hi guys, so in this video I want to talk about work and ADHD, some of my experiences with this. And it starts when you try and eventually get a job, when you get old enough to get a job and you start going on interviews. You realise although everybody gets nervous on interviews, okay, when you've got ADHD it's like another level, because it's so hard to focus, even on eye contact. I mean, with myself, I can't focus on eye contact for more than a few seconds before my eyes switch somewhere else. And when you go for job interviews, I mean, like, if you can't hold eye contact for so long, people usually think, well, if you can't even hold eye contact, how is you going to do the job? So getting a job is very hard to start with when you've got ADHD, and a lot of it's to do with lack of understanding. Because just because you can't hold eye contact doesn't mean you can't do a specific job. But that's another thing with ADHD. Doing a lot of the jobs nowadays is very, very hard, because of our focus switching as well. I mean, I jumped from job to job for a number of years, and it would always end up, well, I can't keep up with these targets. I can't keep up with the demand that the companies were wanting from people. And because my focus wasn't so engaged on the job 100%, I would constantly get focused on other things around. I would see things from a broader perspective. I wouldn't have a very good relationship with authority, because when you've got ADHD, if someone tells you what to do, it's very hard to just do it, like other people. And I would look at other people and think to myself, like, how are they just doing this when they don't even know why? Okay, because when you've got ADHD, you if somebody tells you what to do, you need to know why, because you see everything from a bigger perspective, and everything you do, for some reason you need to know why you're doing it, so you know that it's going to benefit everything as a whole, because you see everything holistically more. And obviously if you say to your boss why all the time, they're not going to like it, and because of their ego, and they don't know how to deal with ADHD, and eventually they're going to try and get rid of you, which happens a lot, and that's why people with ADHD switch jobs a lot. And eventually, when you've got ADHD, you'll find a job which is manageable. Okay, most jobs you'll never enjoy having ADHD, because it's so hard mentally. It's so draining to try and keep up with all these kind of regulations and rules and being told what to do and targets, etc. But eventually you'll find a job that is just manageable. Okay, and the way you manage this job is by finding your own way of managing it. It's usually not the way everybody else doing the job's managing it, because you'll look at them and you'll think, how are they doing this job so coldly and so easily? But with us, it's like kind of sorry, my mind's just gone blank. Okay, refocus, Lee, come on. Refocus. Okay, yeah, with us it's like kind of we have to find ways of dealing with the job, and when we get this specific way of dealing with the job, we have to stick to that, because anything that takes us out of that focus is detrimental to our mental health, and we kind of get burnout after so long if we kept being told to do specific things. Because one of the things I found when I eventually found that job that I could handle, okay, which I managed to handle for 12 years, which is amazing, but the only way I did that for 12 years was by managing the job myself, and not by doing what the hierarchy was telling us to do. So I don't know how I got away with this for so long, guys, but the only way I can describe this is, when you have ADHD, sometimes you have to kind of wing it. You have to like do your own thing without anybody realizing you're doing your own thing. Because sometimes the hierarchy would give these new instructions of something we had to do, but because of my ADHD, I would see everything from a bigger perspective, and I would already know exactly what they're telling us to do. I would already know the implications of that, and how that specific instruction was going to make things worse in the long run. And not only that, the act of doing it would be way too stressful for me, because of this, because I realised it wasn't good on the general whole of things. I wouldn't do it. I would literally not do that. And I would literally go for years of me not doing a specific thing, where all my colleagues around were doing a specific thing. For some reason that would go unnoticed. But I think the only reason it would go unnoticed is because that specific thing that they were telling everyone to do wasn't necessary for the job, and it would only bring further complications down the line, which it always did. And when it did, I would say, well, I told you so, this wasn't going to work. But of course, at the time, when you have ADHD and something comes in at work and the managers are telling you to do something, you can say to the managers, this is not going to work, because you see it's not going to work. But to them, they're all they're bothered about is what their hierarchy is telling them to do, and whatever they say, they do, you see, because they're afraid of speaking out. But when you've got ADHD, you're not afraid of speaking out, and when you do speak out, the managers don't like it. So sometimes you've got to stay quiet, and you've got to figure out different ways of dealing with this, which I did for years. But because you're juggling so many things, you eventually get burnout. And when you get burnout, that's it. You can't deal with it anymore. You can't deal with all these new strict policies coming in and all these things you have to deal with. It gets so bad eventually that you have to go on the sick. And even going on the sick's hard because our mind is so stressed with everything going on, and we can't deal with it. We can't just say to the doctor, oh, I can't deal with work, and they'll give you a sick note. So you've got to kind of play on that. You've got to make up more things. You've got to say, well, I'm so depressed, I'm really suicidal and all this, I can't handle life, just to get a sick note for a few weeks or a few months, just to have that break so your mind can calm down. And eventually, after your mind's calmed down for a few weeks or months, you can then go back to work with a fresh slate, and it starts all over again. This was my experience with it. I managed to do this for 12 years, but only the last 3 years, luckily we were made redundant because the call centre I used to work in closed down. And after that, I actually went on benefits, and since I've been on benefits, I've handled life a lot better. So sometimes when you've got ADHD, it is a lot easier on benefits, but you've got to have to deal with having less money. But sometimes it can get so demanding and so stressful that you don't even care about money anymore. Okay, you don't even care about getting what you want. You just need that rest. You need that rest from the way the world is at the moment. Okay. And the only way to deal with the job when you've got ADHD is if the job is loving and understands human needs, understands humanity, and is loving and gives you enough breaks, understands mental health. Whatever you're good at, they should put those people in those positions that they're good at, etc. But this doesn't happen lately, and in fact it's getting worse. So it's getting even harder for someone with ADHD to deal with a specific job, which is why a lot of people with ADHD sorry, just got burnout there. You'll notice as well when I make videos, guys, my eye contact does not stay on the camera for long because I'm constantly scanning the area and I know everything going on around us, which is a part of having ADD or ADHD. You know everything going on around you constantly, and it's very hard just to focus on one thing. So sometimes my attention switches when I make videos, and I've got to apologise for that, because sometimes I have these blank moments where my mind will just go blank and say, stop doing this, focus on this, which is very hard. Come on, Lee, find your focus again where we are at. Sometimes you've got to backtrack just to get where you were. Oh yeah, yes, no, it's gone, guys, it's gone. 2 seconds. Where was I? What was I talking about? Sorry guys, I've lost it. I've lost where I was at. But genuinely having ADHD and being in a work situation extremely hard. Oh yeah, so a lot of people with ADHD actually set up their own businesses, which is what I would advise to do if you have ADHD. Set up your own business, do something you love doing. don't ever do something you don't like doing, because it won't last. And hopefully that'll work, even though there's a lot of stresses of having your own business lately as well that you have to deal with, which is very, very hard. And here in England it's extremely hard to have your own business because of the taxes and everything, and it is a lot of pressure. But if you can do that, do it. If you can't do that, if you don't have the mental capacity to do that either, then the only thing left is going on welfare or benefits and dealing with having no money. But just know this, that even if you have no money, it's a lot easier for you still than trying to juggle all these things just to get money. Okay, so don't let society tell you you need money, you have to have these specific things, because that's not exactly true. Just find whatever way is best for you to survive, and yeah, do it that way, guys. But if you're struggling with work and you have ADHD, you're not alone. Okay, it is a very, very hard thing to do. If you can, go on specific medications. If you've been lucky enough to get a diagnosis for ADHD, and you can get medication like stimulants, they help a great deal because they make your mind more focused. If you haven't had a diagnosis yet, or your doctor's humming and hawing about medications, don't worry. Just kind of do what you have to do to survive in the meantime. Especially here in England, it's very, very hard to get an ADHD diagnosis here. It's like there's like a 2 years waiting list or something like that, and even then you might not get it. So you're not alone, guys. If the worst comes to the worst, remember you can always go on a low amount of money on welfare benefits for a while until you get your head sorted and figure out what you would enjoy doing, and something will always come along eventually. And yeah, that's it, guys. So I hope you got something from that. Please leave your comments about your experiences with work and ADHD. I'd love to hear them. Please subscribe if you haven't already. I'll be making a lot of videos about ADHD and giving you guys advice from someone with ADD myself. And yeah, so stay tuned, guys. Thanks for listening. See you on the next video. Have a nice day.